All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are cracking open the playbook of a true master of personal change, Tony Robbins. We're going to break down his core strategies for really mastering your own mind, taking back the controls of your life, and, ultimately awakening that giant that's inside all of us. Let's get to it. It's a huge question, right? I mean, why do we stick with habits that we know aren't good for us? Why do we put off the very things that could completely transform our lives? Well, the truth is, there are these invisible forces kind of running the show behind the scenes, driving every single thing we do, feel, and decide. And today, we are putting those forces right under the microscope. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about the single most powerful tool you have, your power to decide. Then, we'll uncover the two big forces that motivate pretty much everything you do. After that, we get really practical with a system to actually rewire your brain, and we'll follow that up with a dead simple formula for success. And finally, we'll tie it all together so you can see how you can truly become the architect of your own life. Let's start with the absolute foundation of everything in the Robbins playbook. It's not about where you came from, what you have, or what's happening around you. Nope. It's your decisions that carve out the path of your life. This is where your real power kicks in. I mean, really let that sink in for a second. This is the core idea you've got to grab onto. It's about shifting from being a passenger, just letting life happen to you, to getting in the driver's seat and becoming the architect of your destiny. The second you make a new, truly committed decision, the whole trajectory of your life can change. How incredible is that? So what decisions are we even talking about here? Well, Tony boils it all down to these three things that are happening all the time, usually without us even realizing it. First, what are you going to focus on? You can have two people in the exact same spot. One focuses on what's wrong, the other on what's possible. Second, what does it mean? Is this setback a total disaster, or is it a lesson? And third, based on that focus and that meaning, what are you going to do about it? If you can master these three, you can master your life. Okay, so if our decisions are the steering wheel of the car, what's the engine? What's actually pushing us to turn that wheel one way or another? Well, that brings us to the fundamental science of what makes us tick. Believe it or not, it's this simple. Everything you do, everything I do, we do it for one of two reasons. We're either trying to avoid pain or we're trying to gain pleasure. Think about it for a sec. Why go to the gym? To get the pleasure of feeling strong and confident and to avoid the pain of feeling unhealthy. Why do we procrastinate? Because our brain links pain to doing the work now and pleasure to just kicking back and ignoring it. This simple little duo is the engine behind absolutely everything. And that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because pain and pleasure are universal, but what you or I personally find painful or pleasurable, that's totally unique. And this is where we dig into the next layer of our internal programming, a framework that explains our deepest drives. According to Tony, every single thing we do is an attempt to meet these 6 core needs. You can think of them like the operating system running in the background of your mind. Now, we all need all 6, but the 2 that you value the most, those 2 shape your entire life, from your relationships to your career choices. So, right off the bat, we've got this amazing paradox. We all need certainty, right? That feeling of safety, of knowing you've got a roof over your head, that things are stable. But what happens if life gets too certain, too predictable? We get bored out of our minds. And that's why we also crave its exact opposite, uncertainty or variety, the thrill of travel, a new experience, a surprise. Life is really a balancing act between these two. And here's another classic tug of war we all feel. We have this deep need for significance, to feel special, to stand out, to be important. But at the exact same time, we have this primal need for connection and love, to belong, to be part of the tribe. And here's the catch. If we focus too much on being significant and unique, we can actually push people away and end up feeling lonely, sabotaging our need for connection. Now, these last two, growth and contribution, this is where the real magic happens. Tony calls these the needs of the spirit. This is where you find deep, lasting fulfillment. Growth is that need to always be learning, evolving, and getting better. Because if you're not growing, you're dying. And contribution, that's the secret sauce. It's about realizing that the secret to living is giving. When we help others, when we contribute to something bigger than ourselves, we feel a kind of joy that nothing else can really touch. Okay, so we understand our decisions, we get what drives us. Now for the really exciting part. how do we actually change the programming? How do we take control of these automatic reactions that are running our lives? This is where we get our hands dirty. This is the how-to. This is the key. A neuroassociation is just the link your brain makes between a thing and a feeling. Do it enough times, and that link becomes a superhighway, an automatic habit. Think about your morning coffee. That smell, that taste, your brain links it to feeling awake and good. That's a powerful neuroassociation. But guess what? The exact same thing happens with our bad habits and negative emotions. So this is the system for changing it. It's called neuroassociative conditioning, or NAC for short. It's a 6-step recipe for rewiring your brain. 1. Get crystal clear on what you want and what's in your way. 2. Get leverage. You have to make it super painful to stay the same and incredibly pleasurable to change. 3. You gotta break the old pattern. 4. Create a new, better way of thinking or behaving. 5. Condition it. Practice it over and over till it's second nature. And finally, 6. Test it to make sure the change has really stuck. Let's make step 3, the pattern interrupt, super real for a second. Let's say that little negative voice pops into your head. You're gonna mess this up. Instead of just letting it happen, interrupt it. Immediately, imagine that voice is coming from, I don't know, Bugs Bunny or Mickey Mouse. What's up, Doc? You're gonna fail? All of a sudden, it sounds ridiculous, right? It loses all its power. It's a silly little trick, but when you do it consistently, it literally scrambles that old brain wiring and makes it weaker. All right, we've been working on our inner world. Now let's talk about the outer world. How do we take all this and actually achieve real, tangible goals in our jobs, our health, anything? Well, Tony has this brilliant, super simple formula that just plain works. This is it, the ultimate success formula. And it's a cycle. First, you have to know exactly what you want. No vague ideas, crystal clarity. Second, you have to take massive action. Not a little action, massive action. Get that momentum going. Third, you gotta pay attention. Look at the results you're getting. Is it working? And fourth, and this is the part where most people give up, you have to be willing to change your approach. If what you're doing isn't working, do something else. Stay committed to your goal, but be totally flexible in how you get there. Wow, we've covered a ton of ground, haven't we? From the power of one decision to the forces that drive us, to the tools we can use to rewire our own minds and get what we want. So let's bring it all home and really lock in this central idea. You are in control. You know, when you boil it all down, it comes back to these 4 truths. Your destiny comes from your decisions. Your behavior is just a strategy to meet your needs. Your beliefs are not set in stone. They can be rewired. And your results in life come from your actions. It's that simple and that powerful. And that's really the big question here, isn't it? Tony Robbins' work isn't about trying to be someone you're not. It's about awakening the incredible potential that is already inside you. It's about finally taking control of the tools you were born with and aiming them at the life you truly want. So I'll just leave you with that to think about. Hey, thank you so much for joining me today. If this breakdown gave you a little bit of value or a new way to look at things, do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe, and maybe share it with your family, friends, or anyone you think might need to hear this today. Until next time, take action and live with passion.